Welcome to season 2 of the Bigger Than You podcast, your go-to weekly podcast that blends energetics and mindset to help you do whatever it takes to bring your vision to life whilst having fun on the way. I'm Jenna Holloway, your host and multi-award-winning intuitive hypnotherapist and mindset coach. My purpose is to help mission-led business owners and visionaries who want to inspire change by leading the way in a space that otherwise may feel unnerving and too difficult. This is Bigger Than You. Hello, welcome back. Thank you so much for joining me again. Hi, Rach. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, Jen. Thank you so much for inviting me. I'm so happy to be here.
Yeah, me too. I'd totally forgotten we've just spoken about this. Rachel is, well, our session that we spent together, the name for the podcast, Bigger Than You, came through. So this is the incredible lady who channeled through the name of this podcast. Rachel is amazing at what she does and just so authentic. I love when we get together and just have a chat and just stuff comes through, doesn't it? Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, I'll introduce myself. Thank you, Jen. And obviously it's interesting because Jen and I both work with each other. I've worked with Jen with my mindset and it's been incredible. And Jen has worked with me a little bit with the intuitive business. So we both know our realm, so to speak. So yeah, my name is Rachel Alyce. I am an intuitive business strategist, and what I do is I am a true strategy geek. I love business strategy. And I also have this ability, which we all have access to intuitively tap into the strategy that is for my clients or what is for my clients. So I can channel, I have clairaudient abilities, which means I can hear things said to me. I heard the name of this podcast when I was with Jen. I have clairsentient, where it is feeling. So if I'm talking to a client about a strategy piece, I often get from my guides or higher self, there's feelings down my body, my legs, my back when we're on track with the strategy that we're talking about. So yeah, really random things happen as well. So yeah, that is me. I've been doing the business coaching for 2 years now. I love it. I actually was originally a spiritual coach, massively into spiritual concepts. I would say I'm more the grounded side of spirituality, so to speak. Mm-hmm. And my gift started, I would describe as psychic as a child.
Did you know you were?
So I didn't know I was. I was very natural at it. So I'll give you the best example. And this is where I kind of stopped them. I had I was about 5 years old and my mum was massively into horses. That was what her job was. And I was going out with my pony on a hack and my mum was leading me and I knew we were going to have a really bad accident. And I said to her, we're going to have a really bad accident today, this. And I've been on many rides, I was used to it. And we were on the horse and a load of bikes came past. The horse spooked. It was shit itself, basically. I'm allowed to swear on this.
Of course you are. Yeah, I do.
And the horse bolted. My mum was trying to stop the horse, the pony. She was dragged. I jumped off, got caught in a stirrup, and there was a main road coming towards the end. And I managed to get off. I managed to hit my leg again and again. And that day, I remember just that day, I went blacked out for a moment, came out back again. And I remember that day, a lot of the magic stopped, if I so-called could recall. I think that day I said, I've always spoken to you and worked with you on this, but that day I really stopped a lot of my psychic abilities because I associated with being unsafe. And of course, you're massively into the childhood trauma and how that's affecting us as adults and our subconscious. You've got to see that it's taken me it was probably my 30s started to get back in tune. But I believe everybody's got these abilities anyway.
Yeah.
And I think as a child, we're so in tune. And then it really started to develop and I had to develop that safety again. I had to do that inner work.
Yeah.
Then now I bring it into my client work. And how does it impact clients? I think it's, they can take and leave what resonates, what I say, but I definitely see like an acceleration of progress and just a lot of fun and magic on the calls. And I naturally channel as well. And I burp to let the energy come through. So most of my calls, don't burp elsewhere in life. But when I'm on a call, I'm like, I'm just going to have to burp because I'm moving energy through and people get it. So yeah, it's been great. I've loved combining both abilities and that's it. And we said, today, what should we talk about this podcast? And I was like, well, we can chat intuition. We can chat some of the stuff that I've channeled through about content as well. And yeah.
So I had been working with entrepreneurs in my one-to-one for quite some time, but you would never have known it. Like if you looked at my Instagram or any of my marketing, it was all about change your life. And my group program was helping, non-business owners generally get out of survival mode. But I was loving my one-to-one work. And as far as I knew, I was happy. And at this point, I was always following my intuition, not as strongly as now. I didn't realize it was as big a deal, but the more you listen to it, the more you amplify it, right? So I really distinctly remember, it's actually in the shower, and I just heard out of nowhere, message Rachel, because we were in a group coaching program together at the start of the year, and we didn't really have any real one-to-one conversations or anything. Like I just knew that you were really good at what you did because I'd seen you on the group calls and stuff. And yeah, just out of the blue, really randomly, I just heard in my mind, message Rachel. And I was like, okay, I just, I had this commitment to always follow my intuition. So do you remember me voice noting you in the DMs? It's like, this is a bit weird, but I heard my intuition. I followed it. How are you doing? Like, what's going on? Let's catch up. And yeah. And
it was really weird because I don't normally get this, but all of a sudden I had so many messages flooding through and I was like, this is not for me. This is for Jenna. And I just kind of felt like, you should be working with entrepreneurs. And it was about entrepreneurs and this bigger than you movement where they've got this purpose and this real mission, but they're kind of getting in their own way, which we all do, right? But it was just, I could just say it. And I didn't say it to you first. And I was chatting to you. And then I was just like, are you meant to be working with entrepreneurs here? Like, yes. And you knew yourself, really. Yeah. You had that intuition. It's just sometimes you need the double drop from another person to reflect it back to you. So it really lands in the body a little bit. Yeah. So I remember that conversation and I remember that seeing that and I remember like kind of knowing that you have intuitive abilities like myself. And this is why you're very good at the work you do, because it's almost like you kind of know the things before the client pops. Like, when you're speaking to the client, what's probably coming up. Yeah. And you said, like, I don't really follow the scripts as such. I do a lot for my intuition. I just go with it. And I felt that really strongly. Like that is, we're both intuitives and that's the magic that you add onto your work.
It's really cool. Like it's not that long ago that everything's changed so much. And yeah, it's all down to, and it's the message that I give out time and time again. It's just follow your heart, trust yourself. And you're never going to know the big picture ever. We don't. We just get the next step, don't we, via our intuition, or we just feel instinctively what the next move is. And we need to calm down the limiting beliefs and the fears around it and then just make that next move.
And I think sometimes if they give us too much of the bigger picture, we would be scared of it. Or we always know on our journeys, there will be some sort of growth, expansion things to lean into. So, I always see it like wearing a torch, like, torch on your head, those head torches, like just follow the intuitive path.
Yeah.
Torches and like breadcrumbs in front of you and you can't go far wrong.
Yeah.
But you trusted yourself and you've always said you're in shit. And it was just, it's about taking that leap and holding that faith when you do take that leap and going for it. And that's where people come into that success. Then that's where people start to see, I was talking about quantum leaps to my own ladies in my own mastermind. And a lot of people go, oh, I quantum leaped. Quantum leap is obviously this concept where we manifest very quickly what we want because we shifted timeline very quickly. So there's lots of, rhetoric around there at the moment, lots of masterclasses saying, this is how to quantum leap, blah, 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 how I quantum leaped. And they actually showed me, there's a lot of perceived quantum leaps. And they showed me a guy at a campfire in my mind's eye, and he was rubbing sticks together to make the smoke and to start the fire. And if you notice, whenever we're lighting a flame, it all of a sudden goes boom, like it ignites and it goes up. And they kept showing me these rubbing of sticks was this compounding of this daily action, trusting those steps, committing yourself, doing it. And then all of a sudden the flame ignites.
Yeah.
And I often see that pattern with a lot of entrepreneurs. They keep going. And all of a sudden it does drop. And all of a sudden they have that flame moment, but this momentum has had to be built.
Yeah, absolutely. It doesn't come out of nowhere, does it? It's like you have to hold that energy. You have to believe that it's coming in order to allow it in. Whatever we want to have or whatever we want to create is already created. If we can imagine it, we can create it. But you're only going to bring it into reality if you can hold the energy in order to bring it in. And then people just give up too early. And I have this image of, with this, I think you might have seen it, this guy is just like using a pickaxe to get to the diamond, and he's underground and he gives up and he can't see, but you can see it from this cross section. And he was like centimeters from getting there, and he gave up and he turned around. And then there's this other image of like, well, don't give up. And he was literally right about there. And yeah, that's it. It's like, hold the energy of your dream, believe it's possible, notice the thoughts that are getting in your way, do the work to be able to move through them, clear them, whatever you need to do. Just don't let anything stop you.
Yes, I love that. And even like, I remember there was, I don't know where she's at now, but Rachel Alyce years ago with that book, and everyone's like, she's an overnight success story. And one of the friends said she wasn't. She was doing this for so long, right? She was an author. I think it was Girl, Wash Your Face. I can't remember what the book was called, but a lot of people going, overnight success story. Look at her just coming out of nowhere. And it was the action, the compounding in the background. And there's very few quantum leaps that I've actually seen really happen, like very few. That's a genuine, like, okay, I get that. Most of the time, most people's success stories are that compounding, building, holding it, and never give up. And that's what happens. Like people, and in my time, a lot of people want instant gratification, because we're in this instant gratification era, and they want the short, sweet, quick success. But also with the notion of quantum leaps as well, if you have success too soon, you miss a lot of the gaps, you miss a lot of the skills, you miss a lot of the key foundations. So a lot of people waver, and they find it very difficult when they so-called do that. So it's kind of like, well, what do you want? Do you want to learn? Do you want to build the skills and foundations to equip you for that? Because imagine if you had a group program, for example, you went from holding the energy and space of 10 ladies to the energy space of 100 ladies within a matter of weeks. You would struggle with that, right?
Yeah.
And, I do feel like we have to really, and this is the work that you do, and I think this work so beautifully helps people as well, is like that momentum building. You're helping them out, not only to you keep going and get there, but this is also this energetic capacity that you're helping people with the mindset work, to open themselves up to receive and hold more success.
Yeah. 100%, because otherwise you get it and then you're not able to keep it. It's like that whole lottery winner thing, isn't it? I think it's like 70% of lottery winners 2 years later have lost all their money, because what's going on here is their body doesn't feel safe. Their subconscious doesn't feel safe with that amount of money. And we can talk about this in terms of client capacity. If you have an extra 50 people join your group, and your body doesn't feel that that's safe, in your nervous system it's not safe, then you're going to manifest problems and all sorts of dramas. So this is why sustainable growth is so much better. And this is why we have the yo-yo income thing, because your body doesn't feel safe. You've got to do the inner work to increase your capacity to hold more clients or more money.
I know. And I think the work that, the inner work is not just doing the inner work to get to the goal, it's also holding the success of the goal as well, which is equally important.
Yeah.
And I think you're so right. And that's one of the things that helped me a lot, is that inner work and that capacity, nervous system regulation work to hold more space for more. And I've seen people who've all of a sudden sold out a group program beyond their words. And then you see them later with the content, how I had a burnout or breakdown.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was like, well, yeah, because you've got to understand this is not a race.
Yeah.
And this is work that is really, and even as another mentor to coach, I'd rather have a mentor or coach who's had failures, who's had to keep going, who's never given up if something doesn't work for 10 minutes, and that's what we do. We're always in danger of doing that. I'd rather have a mentor and a coach that has had some failures, had to have the grit, and then somebody who's had that quick overnight success, that shiny object syndrome, of God, well, they're at like 1 million in 5 weeks. Like, I need to learn from them. You're not going to learn anything.
Yeah. I think there is a lot to be said for some inauthentic content online. And this is why people struggle so much with the comparison problem, because you don't see everything online. This morning, we had a lovely morning, taking my girls to buy each other pajamas and a book. I've literally visualized this since before they were born. Like, as soon as I found out with twins, I knew I was going to take them shopping. I was going to go off with one twin and she was going to buy the other one pajamas. Beautiful visualization. Reality, shit show half the time. One of them is hard work at the moment. And, you know, the way we choose to parent is that it's even harder. I'm not going to go down a rabbit hole here. There's a parenting episode about strong-willed children, but essentially it was lovely, but it was also really, really hard work. And so I'm going to put some stuff up on stories later about it, but I'm going to be real because I've got some lovely pictures, but it does not show the true story.
Exactly. So, and I see for 2023, as I was doing some prediction trend content today, and I just see, like, as an intuitive, I just see more transparency in this industry. A lot of people are going to show you behind the scenes and this concept. I used to say to people, oh, it's easy. It ain't. It's one of the biggest personal and spiritual development journeys you can ever go on. Yeah. And as an entrepreneur, you've almost got to super speed your inner work and get it. You know, and this is why I can't, you know, I would come to you, because it's like, I need somebody to do this with, because if I want this success, I know I've got to get there, and I know I've got to hold it. Yeah. Right. So we were meant to talk about intuition, but we ended up talking about this is so me and you. Go off. What was I
going to say? I was going to say something as you were saying that. Oh, yeah. I'm not your average hypnotherapist, and I'm so okay with that. It's about authenticity. When you can just do things your way, I'm just myself. And so in my one-to-one session, it's so nice to just be fully myself. I am exactly what you see here on the podcast, in my stories, who are the people that I work with. And so, yeah.
And I think as well, it's like, if you aren't your full authentic version online, you're going to get in misaligned clients.
That's what, exactly that.
We've taken this bullshit from the corporate of, you know, when you go to work, you put on a little bit of suit, if you wear a suit, but you put on like this thing, and then you know that meme where you take off your suit at night to be yourself.
Yeah.
And we bring that in, and we think there's this professionalism, like, oh, business coach, you must have a laptop on your pictures and stuff like that. And like, I'm in my jogging bottoms and sports bras most of the time. You know, and like on calls with clients, sometimes we're there with clients in Australia, and I'm at night, they're at night and I'm in the morning, and we've got pajamas on, you know, it's just.
But it's so freeing to do things that way, isn't it? The people that you end up working with are just so on a level with you because they're fully aligned. You're not having to not swear or whatever. Like, I swear, you swear, like, and if you don't like it, you're not for me. And that is totally fine. Like, I'm here walking my talk, showing people that it's okay to be yourself, and you're doing exactly the same as a business mentor. And I think the world needs more of that.
Yeah. And it's like, don't be afraid to repel the people that you don't want to work with.
100%. Yeah.
Don't be able to like say, this is not for you. If it's interesting. I'd rather not to have somebody misaligned in my world than the consequences of that.
Yeah.
Rather than getting the right people in. So
yeah, totally agree. Just before we go, Rach, what tips would you give somebody out there who maybe a bit new to their business, maybe first year? What tips could you give them?
So tips for the first year business. Well, I think there's a lot of misplaced stuff out there in the online space. One of the most dangerous statements that I probably see, and it's probably more for somebody at my stage, like our stage of business, is you are the niche. And like, just do anything, just, you know, be yourself. And I see like, you know, probably somebody like me who's 2 or 3 years down the line can do that, right? Because I'm known for something, and I can now start to do different things. I could 1 minute do a business program, then I could do a manifestation program, then I can do all this and that. But when you're starting out, you've really got to kind of lay it down first with something so you get known for that. And it's not about like, you don't have to, you've got to follow this rule. But I've seen so many people follow this concept of, oh, I feel so free and I don't have to be the niche. But they find it harder to gain credibility and authority on something. And then it's like anchoring on something at the start that you know well, and then look at that as not an always, not a forever, and build, grow, and then you can branch out and become the niche yourself. So that's one of the most dangerous things that I see in that online space. And the second thing that I see in the online space, which is quite not dangerous, but we come on in and we kind of like a lot of stuff. This is my journey. In the first time, I was like very much in the bro marketees kind of area because that's what I was shown and advertised. So I went and learned from them, and I'm like, whoa, this is not for me. You do the pendulum swing, and then you see these women, these divine, feminine, gorgeous coaches who I love their work, by the way. I'm not this, you just have to do this. You just have to be more in your feminine to make more money. And what happens is you swing that way and you realize they've got the masculine structures in place to do this business.
Yeah.
And what happens is the middle ground. We need to go to the basics. You need to develop your foundational skills, how to sell, how to make really great content. Just focus on needle moving activities every day. Don't worry about all the courses, and get mentorship as soon as you can. Like, invest in yourself as soon as you can. And there's not this bullshit. Invest in yourself. So you invest in me, for example. Like, I don't, we're saying this from a lived shared experience. Jenna and I invested heavily in ourselves, and it pays off.
100%. I never would be here now if I hadn't invested heavily in myself. But you have to trust yourself to make the right decision. And we've spoken about this on the podcast before. It's got to feel safe in your body with who you invest. You've got to go with your heart and just trust yourself about who you feel good working with. And don't be kind of pushed or pulled in a particular way. It's got to feel good for you. You want to make a good investment. Can I ask you, what's next? What's on the cards for you next year? What do you want to manifest? What do you want to bring to life?
Oh, I've got so much for next year. I just really want to obviously continue helping women to build multiple six-figure businesses. I have a feeling that I'm going to get a little 7. I'm going to help somebody to 7. Who knows? Like, something's coming through for me there. I'm going to probably do a podcast, Jen. So you're going
to have your own?
Yeah, I'm doing membership, more in-person events. Got a brand new mastermind. I've obviously got my top mastermind, so that will stay. So it's just like I've kind of got into that dangerous 0 fuck zone now.
Yes.
Where I kind of like want to mean business, and I just want to get more impact and reach, because there's not many strategists who've got intuitive gifts, right? I'm like, come on, guys, let's go.
It's incredible. It's incredible to do what you do with the abilities that you have. It's like when you play a video game and you have the cheat codes. I remember voice noting you after our session. I was just like, Rach, I feel like I've just been given the cheat codes.
Yeah, and I was like, right, I'm using that for my marketing.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. I'm really excited for you.
Yeah, thank you so much. And thank you for having me on. And also thank you for the work that you've done with me as well. I really appreciate it.
Absolute pleasure. Where can people find you, Rach?
So my main place is Instagram. I'm a rachelalyce.co. .co stands for company. I would love for you to grab my energetic content kit. It's a newer content approach. I would say revolutionary. And I actually channeled this. I channeled it in 2 days from my channeling abilities. And it's been phenomenal. I've had clients go viral, have hit thousands on TikTok and Instagram. And it's not just about virality, it's more about conversion as well. And it's all about this concept of using intuition with your content and energetic potency behind your content, and using your energetic field to pull this brilliant content through, because we can feel your content. Everyone can feel your content. And we're going to talk about this for another time, Jen, but you can crack on with that. It includes a masterclass and a guide and a kit.
It's great.
Thanks so much, Jen. Have a wonderful day, and I hope your little girls are not as troublesome for you tomorrow.
Yeah, thanks, Rach. See you soon.
See you soon.
Thank you for listening to the Bigger Than You podcast with your host, Jenna Holloway. If this episode has been valuable to you, please share it with a friend or leave a review.